fuck the crown.
Their mom just died.
I don't give a fuck.
Mr. Anglophile.
To an extent. The only reason I'm here is because of them and what they did to the country that my family's from. There's a reason Irish people speak English, and it's not a good one.
That's also
fair.
the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
You're doing just fine in Africa.
Welcome to another episode of After School Cinema Club. My name is Dylan. I am your host. I am joined with my two friends, my two great co-hosts, Vaughn, the actor out of the group, and Jose, the director out of the group. Gentlemen, this Sunday night, how are we feeling today?
To be quite honest, I am having an excellent weekend. Something about what you just said, like, that really hit me. And I hate to be like the heart so early on. But no, I had a good weekend, hung out, celebrated two different friends' birthdays this weekend. So that was nice. But also, I've been in this really reflective moment. I don't know if we've talked about this on pod before. But for those of you who, again, as we talk about developing our parasocial relationships, Monday was the 10-year anniversary of my dad passing. So I've been having a rough week, generally speaking, and just hanging out with friends and taking some time to just like let my very short hair down has been nice. And yeah, there's these moments I'm just like reflecting. You're like, I'm on my two friends. I'm like, yeah, we are friends. And that's a part of why this thing works in the first place. But yeah, I'm in a good mood. I'm feeling good.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. We talked about that on Tuesday. In real life, not in the pod.
Indeed. Because we share a city until Jose comes back.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I don't deny that. I love San Francisco. Come back to LA.
Cool.
I'm doing okay. Sunday night, sorry boys, got stuck at work. Had to take my rescue cat to the vet yesterday. He's cool though, waxed and vaxxed. So, you know.
Did he get monkeypox?
No.
I meant the vax for monkeypox.
Do cats get monkeypox?
I don't know. Monkeys probably do. So.
Monkeys getting monkeypox. Go on.
Gotta be careful, man. We're gonna be in lockdown again soon.
Hey, so we just rescued a cat. He's been kind of vibing in our house since March of this year. March of this year. He's just kind of been hanging out and about, and then slowly started to feed him and let him inside more, and now he just kind of lives here. So had to like get him registered and waxed and vaxxed, and gonna make him an appointment to, soon.
Spay and neuter.
Just need somebody to take care of him while he recovers.
Shout out Bob Barker.
Shout out to Bob Barker.
I only know The Price is Right from Drew Carey.
That makes sense. Because I barely remember Bob Barker. Barely. And that's only because like my grandma would take care of me during the summer, and that's like the only thing she would watch. So
same.
That and Law and Order.
I remember growing up as a kid, my grandfather he was a short order chef for a while. And so he would like during the week, he would make breakfast for me, and I'd sit and eat breakfast with my grandmother, and we'd watch Price is Right.
Hell yeah.
With Bob Barker.
I
It was a
fuck with The
big
Price is
deal
Right though. It's a good
when he
show.
stepped down. It was a good show.
Yeah. There's a family lore. Apparently, I have a cousin who was one of the models on Price is Right. Uh,
Wow.
Trisha, I think her name was. Not that any of the
Shout out
models
Trisha.
pre like 2010, I think. Like they definitely started taking a closer look at how they handled models on Price is Right, and so now there's like male models, female models. They alternate, so this like every other showcase. And then when they introduced the male model, it was like a big deal, but he was only in a couple of the like showcases or like products things, and now they're like equitable. And I think
Guess
the
acting
models,
runs in the family, huh?
yeah, you could say that. You could say that.
All right, well, we are here today
Yes, I'm
to.
also sorry, real quick. I'm also like distant cousins, like crazy distant to Denzel Washington.
Did you know that Samuel L. Jackson and Michael Jackson were cousins?
I saw Janet. Did you see that
Yeah,
clip?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's like Samuel Jackson, Janet Jackson, and then someone else too. I don't like. It was crazy.
yeah.
They're all related.
Also, Brandy and Ray J are cousins with Snoop Dogg.
That's weird. Isn't she in a new movie?
She is in a new movie.
Yeah, I just saw a trailer for that. I can't remember what it was
First,
though.
not First Light. It's something. She
Kind of
basically
spooky.
is trapped in a house with a haunted lady, and there's racism involved.
Oh yeah, it's
Makes
like the
me want to go
racist
see it.
mom. The
Yeah,
racist mom. Yeah.
because a lot of that is
Yeah.
just real. Like it's not even super scary. It's just like, yeah, people be racist sometimes.
Yeah, the racist grandma movie. Alrighty, so and we are here to talk about our top 4 movies of 2024 so far, and as well as always talk about the news. There's not a lot of news to talk about. Some stuff that is kind of more interesting. The first thing that I think I thought was at least kind of cool, and I'm excited to see, is A24 is going to be doing a Anthony Bourdain biopic. For those who don't know who Anthony Bourdain is, he was like probably one of, if not the most famous celebrity chef. He killed himself probably about like 5 years ago now at this point. But Dominic Sessa from The Holdovers is expected to kind of be starring. And honestly, I didn't really think about it in the moment, but looking at the photo of these two people, it seems like honestly perfect casting. I don't know if either of you are huge Anthony Bourdain heads, but what do y'all think about this?
Yeah, when I was in my cooking era, I've heard his name kind of show up a lot. Never really looked into it, except I think he has like a famous mac and cheese recipe that's like top tier. Um, I don't really know much about him. I'm excited to watch this movie though. Dominic Sessa is so he was pretty good in the holdovers. He's pretty solid in the holdovers, I should say.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, Anthony Bourdain had a very strong like presence. So it'd be interesting to see if Dominic Sessa can really like bring that same energy to the character because that's all I really know about him.
Yeah, all I really know is that like Anthony Bourdain had a great like reverence for the like the culture and the cuisine he was eating. Um and like I to your point, I think that like that presence is a big part of it. I think it'll be great. I don't to your point, Dylan, I don't know a whole lot about Anthony Bourdain. But yeah, I'm down.
I definitely recommend if you ever seen like clips from his show. I think it's called No Reservations. It's really cool. Any clip I've ever seen of him is really cool. I know like there are some people that are like absolutely like adored him. Kind of find it actually kind of surprising that none of us are any of those people. And it's produced by the same people that produced King Richard, which Will Smith won his Oscar for. So I'm cautiously optimistic then that this might be pretty solid. I thought one of us was going to have a lot to say about Anthony Bourdain, but none of us have a lot to say about Anthony Bourdain. So I guess we're just going to move on to the next biopic movie in casting.
You really you I thought you were gonna be like the guy who comes out
Yeah,
of
I
left
would have
field.
pegged you for it
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
between the three
I've
of us.
just never really watched it. This one I do have a lot to talk about, though. It's going to be Nicolas Cage is going to be playing John Madden in a biopic directed by David O. Russell, who I'm kind of surprised. This doesn't really seem like something up his alley from a director standpoint, but I am all for this. I don't know what y'all know about John Madden, because I know neither of you are like huge football heads. I know that, Jose, you are like getting into football. Do y'all know anything about John Madden? Like, does that name mean anything to you?
I know that I believe it was Will Sasso played John Madden on Mad
Oh my
TV.
God. I haven't thought about Will Sasso in
Right.
a long time.
He just like perked up somewhere. Yeah, I've only ever known him as a commentator, so I don't have, and I think that was because that was like he was my first introduction into like sports world. Like I hadn't really realized that like, oh, the people who were, I thought commentators, that was like a thing you did exclusively. And that like, oh yeah, you grow up and like this kid wants to be a police officer, this kid wants to be a firefighter, that kid wants to be a commentator, sports commentator. And it didn't click for me that like, oh, the people who are most equipped to talk about the sports are the people who played the sport. And I was like, oh, he used to play too? That's interesting. And then obviously an entire game series named called Madden. So that obviously I understood the gravity of who he was. I still have no clue. I couldn't tell you a team, a position. It would be a coin flip on whether I got it right on whether he was defensive or offensive. I'll say he was an offensive linebacker. I don't know. Is that right? It's like a stab.
I vaguely remember like a YouTube video that was like the story of John Madden, or I think it was like the story of the Madden video games. But correct me if I'm wrong, he coached the Raiders in Oakland.
Oh, that feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. He coached the Oakland Raiders, and he won a couple Super Bowls with them, and then made a game. 24 games. Or 24 minimum, because there was like 1990 something.
There were 90s.
So what's more confusing,
Yeah.
as what's more confusing coming at it from a GameStop perspective is that like in like 2014 or 2015,
oh, there was the name
25th
change, right?
The 25th anniversary came out, so they called it Madden 25, and it's going to be really confusing because this Madden that's out right now.
Oh, this Madden, yeah,
because they do the whole like it's the year ahead thing is so like right now this is also called Madden 25. Yeah, so that's quite confusing. But yeah, so he coached the Raiders. I think he won a couple Super Bowls. But honestly, what his bigger claim to fame was as a commentator, and he was very like energetic. He had a lot of like catchphrases. It'd just be very loud, and it's something that I think that Nicolas Cage is going to go all in on and really, really lean into it. And I actually am really excited for it. It's something that I think that he's going to absolutely nail. I think it's going to be really fun. Kind of confused. David O. Russell, I mean, I know he's the guy that did like Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle. It kind of seems like a different, and he did the other movie. It bombed. It came out like 2 years ago. It was called Amsterdam. It had like the crazy cast. It had like Christian Bale and like Saoirse Ronan.
Still with Taylor Swift.
I think John David Washington. Taylor Swift's in it. Okay, Taylor Swift. But it's like it was just not like awful. It was just like not good, and just didn't really perform well either. But so I don't really know how he's going to do a biopic, but I'm here for it.
Nicolas Cage, guys, he's got to gain some weight. I feel like to really capture that jolly old John Madden. You know.
I mean, depends on what era. Was John Madden always a larger guy?
He was always larger.
I think so.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, then, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, shout out to the Raiders. They deserve better.
Now we're going to talk about the more complicated and interesting parts of news. I think the first thing kind of talk about, so Marvel basically in the spring, Marvel fired the showrunner of X-Men 97, which is a like really, really highly rated animated series. It was like a rare win for Marvel at a time where they were really down bad. Nothing was going right for them. This great animated show comes out, and it was just like, hey, he got fired. No one really knew a whole lot other than like something pretty bad must have happened. And then it kind of today, or this week, I should say, it came out that the creator was sending. I'm going to read read it verbatim because it's just, I want to make sure I get this right. Allegedly sent nude photos of himself and suggestive hero poses to several of the young male staffers working on the show, saying they could be used as inspiration. Separate from that, he also allegedly groped an assistant multiple times and was abusive to other staffers. He is saying that it's gaslighting. If you go on his Twitter page, he like immediately responded to a lot of these claims. It's just kind of an overall messy situation. Vaughn, you look, ever since we've talked about this in the pre-show, you have not actually commented on anything, but your eyes have said so much. And I hate to put you on the spot if you don't want to say a whole lot, but I am curious to know your thoughts.
They're layered and deep. Let me start there. It's a slippery slope, and from like an HR perspective, I think it's a situation where none of us know what the truth actually is. Like, it is audacious for him to, so when right before the show came out is when he got fired, and we were like, wait, this is an outrage because black, for one.
It was
so
right
we're
before
like,
the second season, correct? Or
no,
was
right
it the
before
first season?
right before
Dang.
97 dropped.
Dang.
Like,
Okay. Alrighty. My mistake.
weeks before, maybe a week beforehand, like this news comes out that the showrunner is dropped, and we're like, wait, what? That seems wild. And I think initially, I'll say for myself, initially I had concerns that it was Marvel not believing in the project itself. I know for me, the animation style took me a second to really like get into. And it felt like super nostalgia baity for it to be like, oh, we're gonna follow up on that '90s series you all loved, and this is the next season of that show. So all the stuff that happened in that show still happened, still remember it. We're picking up from there. That was like interesting and exciting, and then to hear that this guy gets dropped, we're like, whoa, what? Are you not? Are you like trying to cut your losses now? And then to see that he's black, and then to see that the show's amazing. All there has been since the show dropped has been this like justice for Bo, like bring him back. Why is he not coming back? Like, especially once they got greenlit for another season, it was like, why is Bo DeMaio not a part of this? And then we get this news this week that he's been behaving in this way, or these claims are out there, and I'm trying to like rationalize it, and I can't. Not that nobody is a. It's hard for me to wrap my brain around a black person who already knows how hard it is to get opportunities and to be at the helm in this way. Because if the claims came out and he said nothing, that's one thing, because that kind of like the silence is complicity. But for him to have said no, that's like not true. For him to be as outraged as he was with the initial firing, and then this news about like all these claims have come out and he's like refuting it, it's like it's tricky because I want to believe this black man. I also want to believe victims. And now, right in this moment, those two forces are on opposing sides. So it's difficult, and it makes him especially audacious. If all of this is true, he did do all these things, and I even hate saying that because it makes this. I don't want to sound like I don't believe, or I don't want to support a space where people who have been victimized or assaulted in any way do not feel comfortable enough. Like, I don't want to question their claims, but in a system like it's a system where two people, gosh, I'm saying a lot of things and I feel like nothing at the same time. But it's hard, and I just want I want this to not be the case. But I also know like there's nuance there that like that could exist in a way that like he maybe in an effort to be more comfortable. I don't know, and I feel like I'm already sounding like an apologist or whatever, but I can see a world because we briefly went over or went like scrubbed through his Twitter profile, and yeah, there are photos where he works out and he obviously cares about his body and his appearance.
That doesn't mean that he does any of the other things that he is accused of. It's just one of those. That's what yeah.
And there's the other slant to it all to consider is like one, like how aware is he of like his position, being in a position of power, like yeah, like sending any kind of photo of yourself as a reference for anything is going to be too much. Like I could see maybe sending photos of bodybuilders, not your body being built. But yeah, it's the other difficult aspect of it is that like comics have always been notoriously homoerotic in nature in terms of how we depict the human figure. And again, I don't want to explain away or be an apologist in any capacity. I just wonder if there's more nuance here that we're missing, which I think speaks to my silence.
No, you're good. I didn't take it as necessarily sounds like you didn't want to say anything. It was just very clear. Sorry, Jose, that you were just ruminating, and so I just wanted to give you a runway.
These are the things I grapple with as a Black. Which is just to double down also real quick is a thing that I can say, but you can't say. I had an interaction with a person this week where they referred to my community as Blacks. And I was like,
Oh fuck!
oh, he was in his 70s and he meant well. But I had to take a moment to be like, yeah, like Black people, we blah, 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 blah. I think.
Oh, I get you. I hear you. I was confused because more of I've always took it as like when you say African American, I think that sounds super weird. But now I get what you're saying, like in the sense of just that added context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between the two, I prefer Black, by the way, for anybody listening again, as we build that parasocial relationship. Jose, please say anything.
I wanted you to speak your piece, man. Sounds like you have a lot. You're carrying the weight of generations behind you, you know?
Truly.
No, but dare I say, and stop me if this is wrong, just don't say anything. Why do you need to be put in a box? Like, why do you need to choose a side? Like, I understand your position. I understand this platform, but just opt out. Like, is that not allowed anymore? Is that something you're not allowed to do, given again your Blackness, your status, this platform? Like, do we have to now choose sides whenever something shows up? Can I just keep my side to myself and just never explain like why?
I'd say so.
Then do that.
Now the
Then
people
do
need to
that.
know. The people need.
No, they
people
don't.
Are,
The people
they are awaiting Vaughn's thoughts on
On
this
bated
scandal
breath.
they learned about 2.5 minutes ago.
Like,
yeah,
this is
I
something
agree
that
that I don't need to have an opinion, but I do think it's important to have shared like the complexity that I'm grappling with. Like, and like I don't like I've not come out with a stance either way, even still. But like in response to Dylan, like I'm like, yeah, that's kind of where I am, and these are some of the thoughts and the things I grapple with. And I think that sort of insight is helpful because, like, while it's not necessary, I don't think people are waiting to hear about my opinion on a thing necessarily, but I do think hearing where I'm at with a thing does help provide context for somebody who does have a person who's maybe black and also a comic fan or a fan of that show and wants to engage in conversation around it.
Like, I completely get your involvement. Like, I get everything that you just like talked about. Like, I completely like align and appreciate, because it even gives me, or gives us in this platform, like more context into who you are and how you think. But in terms of like choosing a side, like, fuck off, don't choose a side. Next topic.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate what you said.
Right on.
I thought it was well said too.
Thanks, y'all.
You're
I will
radicalized
say-
now, remember?
Said I'm what?
You're radicalized.
In a post kinds of kindness world.
Cut to 5 years from now, we're at some event. some fan comes up and it's like, "You were wrong about kinds of kindness." Sorry,
The
who
next
are you?
Yorgos Lanthimos directed, written by Bo DeMaio movie comes out. Yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things.
I will say, sorry, real quick, just off of that, Yorgos Lanthimos would direct the hell out of a Legion movie, like the character Legion from Marvel, who's the son of like there was a show on FX, I think it was.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
FX. Yeah.
I think Yorgos has the brain for that kind of madness, or any sort of like troubled telepath.
You hear that, Marvel? Give him $300 million.
Hey, Disney allowed him to do poor things. Why wouldn't they let him do Legion?
Does that make Bella a Disney princess?
Wouldn't be the first Bella.
Doesn't Emma Stone already play a Disney princess?
She played Cruella.
Oh,
Isn't Beauty and the Beast? Is it Belle? It's Belle.
That's Belle.
that's
Yeah.
Belle. It's also Hermione.
And I didn't know if you were talking about Elizabeth Swann as well.
That
from
was
Pirates,
she's not a
Keira
princess.
Knightley.
There we go.
who shares her birthday with me.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Damn, you're putting some personal info on the webs.
I'm not shy about it. It's also not hard to find.
Yeah, Facebook leaked it.
When we were talking about this, I will say it was like, oh, this guy sent like weird photos, and then we looked on his Twitter, and looking on his Twitter, and it's just a bunch of shirtless photos. It was really funny. It was a very funny juxtaposition of like, oh, this guy was accused of doing this, and if you notice, in like the 3 or 4 days since the story's posted, he hasn't posted any more of those photos. But if you look through his page, so that's all. I found that really funny. I don't know. I very rarely think these stories are fake. And not saying that you say this either. And he does have a very strong response back. The lawyer also had a strong response back. He said that, this is like typical Disney playbook. And reading more into the story, so basically he put this out because he posted an X-Men fan art of himself for Gay Pride on June 13th, my birthday. And apparently from there, Disney then decided to strip him of the season 2 writing credits. So this seems like potentially a response to that. And then that story. So it seems that like both these stories kind of happened at the same time. Like he clapped back at Marvel, and then like the story dropped also. Like all of this kind of happened.
Can you do that? Can you decide I don't get to be I don't get to get a writing credit anymore.
So I think that's part of what the thing is, and that's one of the his lawyer said that this is like typical Disney playbook, and they put like, I think he used the word like they put erroneous things in contracts. I know a big thing that has happened, to go back to sports, in a post Aaron Hernandez world. Aaron Hernandez, if you don't know who that is, he was a tight end for the Patriots, really, really good player from Connecticut, who murdered 3 people. And he basically was due like $30 million. And the Patriots had a clause in the contract. They're one of the few teams to ever do this. Is like, if you're arrested for anything, your contract's like for something serious like that, your contract's void. And so basically, like, the family didn't get like the remaining $30 million left on his deal because of that. So you'll see sometimes these kind of things, which is just what I'm assuming, like written into contracts, like an ethics clause or like something like that. And maybe they're viewing that as this. I don't know. I don't like, he's claiming that Disney stripped him of it after posting that. I have no idea if that's true. I don't think Disney would do that. Maybe it's just they were like, we want to take it away.
I can definitely see Disney doing that just because of the recent like bullshit lawsuit that they tried to wiggle their way out of. Did you guys hear about that?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
For those of you who don't know, Disney somebody died out of an allergic reaction at Disney Florida, and the widower, so the person's husband, tried to sue Disney for a wrongful death. And Disney said because he agreed to the terms and conditions of Disney Plus, like X amount of years before,
from a free trial that he canceled 2 days later.
Trial, yeah. He waived his rights to sue in favor of arbitration, and now that's currently developing. But if Disney is looking to just like legal ninjutsu their way out of everything, I could definitely see them having something in their contracts that's like, hey, I could just fire you whenever, but without saying that I could fire you whenever. Because I think there was like a Disney show too where like the background actors accidentally signed away their likeness to AI. And in like season 2 of this like high school show, they were just like the crowd was CGI, yeah, or AI. Yeah. It was just it's really funny, but it sucks for the actors who got their likeness just ripped away by Disney.
So
I think too.
I did want to just jump in because I wanted to, there's probably like one person that knows more about the story and is getting really frustrated. He came out first and said that Disney stripped him of the season 2 writing credit because of the fan art that he posted. And then after he said that, Disney put out a statement and said, no, that is not the reason why you were stripped of the season 2 writing credit. You were stripped of the season 2 running credit because of your like egregious behavior. And then like, so I don't know if like that changes things. And the more I kind of learn about that, I think that that's a little bit more interesting, that Disney kind of then clapped back to him. And then he came back and said after that the truth will be revealed. Yeah. And he actually says the truth will be revealed after the Disney Plus disaster. Marvel wants to mislead with alleged contract breaches over tweets. It's tragic it's come to this, but uninspiring. Stay tuned.
I think one of the more nuanced parts to this is because he was fired after season 1. I wonder how much he's owed a season 2 credit to begin with. Like I don't know how much work he did on season 2. Also, I do know that a lot of it, because this is established IP, these are all adapted comic storylines. So yes, like you should get credit, but I'm wondering if he had already been let go, and like who knows how much of the work he did put into season 2 remained, or he can argue was still authentically his work alone. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, it seems that I want to try to read. I want to make sure it gets right. It seems like season 2 might have already been at least the writing of season 2. I can't find it, and I don't want to like take too much time. But yeah, and also a lot of things change. You could have written the first draft of it, and things are going to change after that. Yeah. Well, that was a whole lot. That was one scandal that we're going to talk about. The other scandal that we're going to be talking about is going to be about Justin Baldoni, who is the, I believe, writer, director, producer, and co-star of It Ends With Us, a what seems to be rom-com movie starring Blake Lively that is also apparently about domestic violence, which is not at all in any of the marketing for this movie. But that's not really the scandal. The scandal is just, this is pure like speculation online. There's nothing that's been said by any of the actors, but apparently there is legitimate beef with Baldoni and the rest of the cast, mainly Blake Lively. Basically, none of them follow him on Instagram. At all the press releases, he follows all them. At like all the press releases and stuff, he's kind of been out on the side. Basically, there's been tons of speculation about what's caused the rift between them, and then kind of the biggest news now is that he has hired basically a crisis PR veteran, this woman Melissa Nathan, who also very famously represented Johnny Depp during the Amber Heard trial, a trial in which Depp, I think for a lot of the public eye, came out looking the better, despite there being a lot of stuff in that trial that honestly also made Depp look pretty poorly.
Nah, dude, she shit on the bed.
That's the first thing I think about when I think about that case as well.
It's the first thing I think about when I think about the case as well, and I don't think of any of the other things about that case, which I think is props to her ability. So I have some thoughts on this, and I know that Jose, you don't know too much about it. I also want to know, Vaughn, what you think. But I think this is fascinating. I think there's way more to this, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, knowing what we know about the parties involved, and this is, by the way, this has devolved even more since that announcement. My social media has decided I need to know about these, like what's happening with this story. So I'm getting a lot of updates from several parties, credited and uncredited. For all that I know of Justin Baldoni's character and his brand is, he's a very passionate, like compassionate, like he is like the remedy to toxic masculinity. The podcast he has and like the books he's, I think, written, like he's just a great person. So when this story comes out that he needs a crisis PR because people aren't getting along with him, my initial reaction is, well, what's wrong with them? And watching how he's responded through all of this, it's been nothing but still on brand, still graceful, still kind. He's had nothing but generous things to say about the rest of the cast. Like when they were asking, there was something about like they were asking about the direction, or like what's next, because It Ends With Us had a sequel. It Starts With Us, I believe. Like there was another book that was written, and he said, like, I think, like Blake she deserves that space. She deserves the ability, like give her the role. Like all he did was in that moment say, and maybe the between the lines is, I would never do this experience ever again. Just let them take it over because I don't want anything to do with it. But it sounds more great. He took that moment to like still lift her up on a pedestal, compared to a lot of what I'm seeing socially is people tearing down Blake Lively because she has apparently, folks are saying that she's a mean girl. And that
had a plantation wedding. That's been a big thing on mine.
She had a plantation wedding?
Apparently. I don't know when they got married. And then apparently Reese Witherspoon had a plantation wedding, and then she was getting dragged into this, and then people were defending her because of Legally Blonde. My feed, I don't know about, my feed's never like this at all. And this has been the only thing on my feed for like the last week.
Yeah. And it's just like I think this is all to call into question these actions, right? Like, hey, we know that like some of these stories are coming out, probably pushed by Blake's PR team, or like things to like help tear him down, or like really just like make sure he's in the dirt completely. But really, like the social response to this has been like, well, no, you're actually super shitty. So, and here are the ways.
Yeah, so to kind of give a little bit more background as well. So this video came out of the two of them, uh, Blake Lively and Baldoni, like arguing. The actual thing, the headline was like fighting during filming. It was two people having a conversation that was slightly above, like they were like gesturing about things,
Yeah.
and it was like it was very calm. Maybe like, passionate is maybe an aggressive way to describe that conversation. Then there were, pulling up some like Blake Lively interview where an interviewer made a comment about Blake Lively like having a belly bump, and then Blake Lively like made a kind of not great comment back, was like, "Oh, you have a little bump of your own." And it was
Yeah.
like kind of a weird comment, and apparently that person was infertile, although like Blake Lively wouldn't have known that at all. So like I think all of this is fake. I think all of this is fake. In a post anyone but you world where Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell played everyone like a fiddle and made them think they were in a relationship, and Sydney Sweeney was leaving her house without a ring on, and all of these things, and none of it was real, although Glenn Powell did end up like breaking up or divorcing with his partner. I think that is totally unrelated. There's a world where I think that all of this is fake. And all of this is like, and maybe like then more is like coming out of it, like the plantation wedding things and the Blake Lively thing, and like maybe those are like unintended like consequences from this. Maybe there's more to it, and we'll see. The fact that he is hiring a crisis PR person, if that is actually true. But the stuff that's coming out, it's not making any sense. It's like Blake Lively thinks that she was like fat. She was being fat shamed because he has a history of back problems and asked the trainer how much she weighs so he can like make sure it doesn't fuck up his back. It's like, who does that make look bad? Because that story didn't come out from Baldini's camp. That story definitely came out, if anything, from Lively's camp. But like that just makes it just seems like Baldini's trying to make sure his back doesn't break. Like all of it is so dumb. It's all the dumbest. It's the dumbest stories, all of it. And so I just think it's all fake. That's my take.
It's like, oh, I was being fat shamed because they had a gluten-free cookie at like catering, and it's like he's just inclusive,
Yeah.
From my passive understanding, literally like 5 minutes ago, I'm with you, Dylan. I thought this. I mean, I was kind of memeing. I was gonna say that this might all be fake, but hey, if you bring up a point, because I think we talked about the anyone but you scandal. Shout out to one of our earlier episodes. Yeah, this could all be fake. I mean, it's 2024. Fake news, AI, deep fakes.
I mean, Sydney Sweeney specifically said they leaned into it. She was like
True.
open about it. She's
That's
like,
right.
yeah, we leaned into this.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if it's necessarily that much, and there's more to this where I think it could be real. And if anything comes out that like, you know what I mean? Like if more comes out from this, I have no problem dropping all of this. But a really large part of me thinks that this is all just PR, because this movie made $50 million in the opening weekend box office for no reason. There's no reason this movie should make this much money. And
hey, what if Justin Baldini is like a big draw? I know Hema has a huge crush on him because he was in Jane the Virgin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's the bad boy, right?
Mm-hmm. So women could just be watching him, and dudes, people could just be watching him.
The only
Blake
thing
Lively.
that doesn't stick
and Blake
for
Lively
me is that, for what I know of his brand and his character, that would like a PR stunt doesn't quite land. And granted, none of the outrageous things that are coming out about this story are coming from him. He's not the source of them.
Yeah.
So I could see it where like it possibly could be a PR thing, but there's been too many instances of, I don't know, I think she just might be a mean girl.
The only other thing that I'll say, the only thing I knew about this movie at all, other than seeing like one trailer in the plethora of movies we have gone and seen this summer, was a clip of Ryan Reynolds like filling in for an interviewer and asking very funny, like, so is this what it, like, how did this feel when you were like hugging my wife? How did this feel when you were kissing my wife? If there was beef between the two of them, they don't do that. They don't do that. If there was legitimate beef, why would
I think they would, yeah.
I wouldn't do that. If someone was beefing with my partner, I would not then go and do a funny PR thing.
But
Maybe it was a
funny to us
funny
'cause we're the
PR thing.
audience. But
Yeah.
if he's bullying him, it's you know, it's one of those things where like you can't say or do anything because like you're on camera right now, and if you
Mhm.
like, you know, you call off the interview right now, that's going to make you look even worse.
So are you saying that Ryan Reynolds is also a mean boy?
I
I
can see
think
that.
he's defending his wife, or he's doing what
Yeah,
he believes is defending his wife.
that's fair. He's just being a supportive husband. I don't know. I think it's all fake. Cue to like 4 days from now, there's going to be like very damning evidence that either party is a terrible person. And we have to like scrub this video from the internet. But and probably the other thing too with the marble guy.
Bo DeMaio.
Hey,
Yeah.
what do you do when shit hits the fan? You shut the fuck up. It's the best PR move. In the 24-hour news cycle, just shut the fuck up. It'll blow over. Always Sunny had an episode about that. They literally set a 24-hour timer every time somebody went on the news and did something stupid.
Fair enough.
Yeah, or you get like a Kate Middleton situation.
What's that?
Do you know who Kate Middleton is?
Are you referring to when she like disappeared for like a week and a half and people were like
I think it was
freaking
more
out?
than that. I think it was like a month, if not more, and then they put out like a deep fake photo.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah.
of just like they
And
just put
people
out
thought
and,
that she was pregnant or like had a BBL or something.
yeah, and then in fact she just had
Yeah.
cancer.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Don't
Yeah.
you feel bad?"
Yeah,
Which
like
is also a good way to get for the Crown to get more sympathy.
fuck the Crown.
Their mom just died,
I don't give a fuck.
Mr. Anglophile.
To an extent. The only reason I'm here is because of them and what they did to the country that my family's from. There's a reason Irish people speak English, and it's not a good one.
That's
That's
also the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
You were doing just fine in Africa.
Hey, shout out to Fallout London. I really want to play that game.
Oh, the mod that came out. Yeah, that looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Alrighty. So that was all of the incredibly complicated and fun casting news. Now, gentlemen, I believe it's time to talk about our 4 favorite movies of 2024 in typical Letterboxd fashion. I don't know if you want to do like one at a time, like boom, 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 or if you just want to kind of read out our 4 down. What are we thinking?
Last time we had a list, we all just said 4, and then we defended each one of them. I'm kind of down to stick with that just for time's sake too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That
All right,
works.
let's do that. Producing on the fly. Who wants to go first?
I'll do it. Seems like I was always going to do it, so it's a good thing I chose it.
I would have gone. I can go.
No, so my top 4, I have 6 films written down. But my top, I'm also trying to remember because I primarily pulled this together looking at my history from A-List. Shout out to AMC, sponsor us? Question mark.
Should we hold on? Pause. Sorry. should we go over the ground rules and how we came to these 4
That's
movies?
fair.
Sure.
Because that was a big topic offline. It was top 4 movies that we've seen this year. It doesn't necessarily mean that they've come out this year. It's just top 4 movies that we have consumed halfway through the year.
Indeed. Thank you for that disclaimer, because people are going to be like, wait, Vaughn, what? Yeah, so I was trying to think back to not just the stuff I've seen from like at AMC's, which I am at all the time, but also I was like, I be on planes and I can't remember if any of those films, one, if I've seen any films, any substantial films while on flights this year, but I'm going to stick with the list I have. I guess I'll kind of go backwards and I'll say Deadpool and Wolverine, definitely up there. I've seen it 3 times so far. Great fun. Love a Marvel movie. Always love a Marvel movie. I will always be there. I am a part of the problem. I'll admit it. Also,
This
I have
movie is
Inside
not
Out.
part of the problem.
Hmm?
That this movie is not part of the problem.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm. This movie's good. If more Marvel movies were like this, no, that's actually not true. I don't think more Marvel movies should be like this. However, if more Marvel movies are very different, like how this one was very different, I think it would be better.
Yeah.
Overall.
But yeah, good fun, great nostalgia. At this point, I mean, based on the fact that it's the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time, it's probably safe to say that if you're listening to this podcast, you've also already seen it. Spoiler alerts anyway. I just love that it's the love letter to Fox, and I in a similar way that I appreciated Spider-Man No Way Home, in that I think a part of what exhausted people for so long with like the Marvel movies or any of these franchises is that whether they're redoing origin stories or whatever, it feels like you get no credit for having watched that other Spider-Man or watched, that other Batman movie. And here, in a similar way that No Way Home did, you got a chance to like get the gold star for having seen the thing. Like, to see Elektra, I was like, hey, I saw that movie, and we don't need a whole lot of her backstory because the storyline wasn't the best. But like, to see those sides come out, and you're like, no way, that's great. Like, I get the credit now for having like that thing I saw matters. That thing that I did, those hours I spent count still. And I love that we got a lot of that payoff here. I also have Inside Out 2 in my top 4 this year so far. I am, funny enough, not because of Inside Out 2, but just because, it felt right for me in this journey that I'm on right now. I'm like back in therapy. And the framework and language that this movie affords us is invaluable. So I really appreciate Riley's journey and my own emotional journey. Third, I have Thelma as my one of my top 4 films. We didn't review it on pod, but it is such a good movie. Great fun. June Squibb is a delight. She's also in Inside Out 2, actually. But yeah, I just really appreciate that we get a chance to have a fun take on a familiar theme. Like, it's an action movie starring a 94-year-old woman. Like, that's incredible. And I also appreciate the emotional journey they take us on. I believe this was Richard Roundtree's last performance before he passed as well. And it's just, the movie's a delight. And then finally, Origin. And I was ready if we had to stick to things that came out this year. I did have a backup, which would have been Challengers. But Origin, I can't say enough good things about it. Also, because of the timing of when we started the pod and everything, this film has not been reviewed by us on pod yet either. But I love the journey that we see Isabel go on. I love the just Ava DuVernay's storytelling and direction. Every frame is a picture you could put up, in your home. Oh my goodness! And for people who have seen it, all I'll say is the leaves. If you know, you know. Go see
I
Origin.
know. I know.
I don't know yet.
Buddy.
When it comes back in theaters, I'll definitely see it. I just want to see it in theaters.
Yeah, it deserves that.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it like.
Yeah. I'm just this. Yeah. I don't know if I'm qualified to speak on that. But yeah.
I mean, if you had an emotional reaction, absolutely you are.
I don't know. I'm tearing up just thinking about it.
I will say it's, to its credit, or like to speak to seeing it in theaters, it is absolutely worth. I believe in film and theater so much, and like the to protect the storytelling, that I love that like a theater is just like the train leaves the station and we don't get off until the credits roll. That's something obviously like you have more control. You get to hit the pause button whenever you want at home. I do think there's something that gets taken away from that. Like you lose that momentum, you lose that intended pace and steam that's happening on the page and then translated on screen. We lose a little bit of that if, I got to rush to the restroom, which I get, live your life. But for this film, there's something to be said about like taking the journey as intended. I do think there's also a lot of power in having the flexibility to pause and process before you move forward. Those are my 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think living in downtown LA, I'm gonna have like sirens. I live next to the elevator, and it's not like it's that bad, but every now and then, it's loud. So I wouldn't want that. Like that'd be very distracting for me.
Right.
I'm like I want no pauses. Like when I hit play,
we're on the train.
We are on, yes, and it does not stop. And
next stop,
I would not. Yes, exactly.
I agree with that statement, but given my introductions to film and movies being bootleg DVDs that I would buy with my dad, like I think a narrative, if it's good, will be good at home, and it will be good in theaters, and it would be good recorded on some guy's VHS tape that they are flipping in the trunk of a car next to a taco truck. So I didn't watch this movie in theaters. I wish I did. I wish I saw it with my partner, but I saw it alone on an afternoon on Vaughn's suggestion. Vaughn was always like, "Hey, this movie is really good. I highly recommend you watch it." It's just like one Thursday afternoon, and I was like, "Well, fuck it. It's on Hulu." And I saw it, and I really, really enjoyed it. And again, I don't know if I can speak to like its content or its message, but it's just something that you just have to sit down and enjoy. And you get on at the beginning and you get off at the end. I did pause it to go to the bathroom because I'm not gonna hold it in my own house, but yeah, it's one of those things where you could just you have to just sit through the whole thing and just really absorb the content. That's on my list. Hey, shout out to Origin. Thelma also on my list. Another one of Vaughn's suggestions. Just randomly text the group chat. Hey, y'all should really check out Thelma. It's really good. And then Emma and I were like, let's grab brunch downtown and let's go watch this movie. And we really enjoyed it. Another tearjerker. We cried a couple times in Thelma. Yeah, I know it's an action movie, an action comedy, but it's just sometimes
They sneak you.
Sometimes just like, yeah, it just gets you. It just really gets you. I have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I mentioned it when we came back from our little spring break. I am on board for this franchise moving forward. I think the storytelling just like ramped up to 11 now that the lore has been set with Caesar. I think they have a young enough actor to kind of carry this franchise for another couple years. Shout out to Deadpool, because if they're gonna keep telling this story until to make 9 different movies, and I'm assuming it'll probably be like different eras, like a Star Wars thing, where it's like the Caesar era, this guy's era, and then like an era in the future to reference like the original Planet of the
Yeah,
Apes, because I think
the
there's some of
Eston
them where
ones.
they're like, yeah, in some of the originals they have like cities and shit, and it's like a proper human like civilization, but they're monkeys, or apes. Sorry, and I'm just
Thank
on
you.
board.
Every time you do it, I like I flinch a little bit. Like they're apes. There's a difference. There's no tail.
and then the last one, Godzilla X Kong: A New Empire. It's goofy. It's great. It's a video game. It's just so much fun. Turn your brain off. Watch it in IMAX, watch it in Dolby, watch it in 3D, watch it in 4DX. Just like watch it in like the most ridiculous formats. Watch it in the ultra widescreen at a Regal. Just like,
That screen
see,
stinks.
I really want to watch something in that format just to see what it's like.
The one in downtown LA was broken when I went, and it was
Yeah, I
really
can see that.
distracting.
I
Is
can
that
see that.
Quite
similar to
frustrating.
the 270?
It's the same thing.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, 270 degrees.
Yeah, I
For
could.
for those who don't know, it's the main screen's in the center, and there's a screen on the left and a screen on the right, and they're supposed to do like it's supposed to be more immersive. If you've ever been to never mind. If you just imagine something ultra wide landscapes, if you go to a Best Buy and you
Like
see
a
one of those
monitor.
gaming monitors, yeah, exactly, one of
Yeah.
those gaming monitors that's like ultra wide. Just imagine that, but like watching a movie.
The
So
weird thing about the downtown LA one is it wasn't just like one screen. It was like
it's
three
three
different
screens. Yeah,
screens,
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
looked like shit. It looked awful. But maybe it
yeah.
was just that one in downtown LA.
No, the
no, I
downtown Regal
think
sucks ass, dude.
It's so bad.
It's so
It's
bad.
so bad, and it's like
Yeah,
4 stories tall.
yeah, and it's
AMC, buy
crazy
that.
expensive.
That could be like an all-time movie theater location.
Mm-hmm. It could. It 100% could.
I mean it's at LA Live, so I don't think that like the Regal they're gonna make their money. Like no matter how like the screens they don't have to do much to continue to make their money.
I know. Whenever I've gone there, that was an awful experience.
It's horrible. It
Um,
sucks.
I think to your point, Dylan, because I've also seen a movie in the 270 or the ultra wide screen format. A part of my issue now is that I've been spoiled by these premium formats
Yeah.
because I see most things. Dolby is my preferred format. IMAX, if there's a good seat, sure, I'll take it. But because the audio itself is so enhanced, when I go and I've seen a couple of, like re-releases, like I saw Lion King when that got re-released. I saw Selena this year for the first time, which got re-released. Um, I'm always like, it's so quiet. Like it doesn't feel like it's. I don't feel as into the movie because it's not that premium format. So I think a part of it just might be expensive taste, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, dare I say again my entire argument before, if a movie's good, a movie's good. It doesn't matter where you're watching it. I have yet to experience Dolby and that 240 or that 720 the 270. I've yet to see a movie in ultra widescreen. I've yet
Mhm.
to see a movie in Dolby. I love movies in 3D because it's just goofy. I love seeing movies in IMAX. If only like movies in IMAX if they were shot for IMAX. Like if they have the 4:3
Yeah.
ratio, like Oppenheimer in IMAX, holy, that's a great experience. But I saw Uncut Gems this year in IMAX, and it was just big, and I was like, no big
Yeah.
deal. But if you're saying
I hear you.
Dolby is that sort of game changer, then I'll have to try it out. There's a Dolby at the Metreon, but that's the Metreon. downtown SF sucks. Although
It's
that's where
a
we did see
journey.
Thelma.
That's
Did
where we
see
saw
Thelma there.
Godzilla.
That's where we saw Godzilla. Might as
That's where. Hold on. That's where I saw Deadpool 2 for the first time.
It's a good theater.
Yeah.
well.
Downtown
It was
SF
one
is
of
rough.
it was one of Hema and I's first dates. We saw A Quiet Place.
Oh,
That's rough, buddy.
The Quiet Place? The first one?
just as
Yeah.
like a first date movie.
Scary movie?
I thought that's like what you're supposed to do.
Have it.
Take your
Y'all know
girl to
my
the
scary movies.
One
take
of-
your girl
one
to a
of
scary
Davina-
movie. So
one
like
of
when you
Davina-
get scared, she holds your hand, you know? She hugs you. Like, I'm scared.
One of Davina and I's first dates was seeing a movie called The Art of Self-Defense, which is more of like a comedy movie, but it's a comedy indie movie. It's very good.
I saw Amityville Horror starring. Was that Ryan
Charlotte,
Reynolds?
Connecticut.
Oh, it was Amityville in CT?
The movie might not take place in Connecticut, but that is based off of a Connecticut like house. That's all that shit's like all in like New England. All of them.
Yeah. But I was so terrified and so animated that the the staff at the theater came into our viewing and like came up to me specifically and said, "We need you to calm down," and walked out. I
What'd
don't
you do?
do well with these experiences. I just like with the jump scares or any scary thing. I'm letting you know that you got me, which is, I'm sure, very annoying for anybody else in the theater.
Dude, you should get a comically large popcorn bucket and just like, whoa!
You like the
Do
guy
you
from
know-
the AMC?
Justice for him, because I hate that they've taken that out of their intro
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
He's just like so
That's a
calm.
bit.
It was in the old. I did not even say old. Like up until recently, in the whole like AMC theaters like little like promo video, there was a guy that had popcorn and like got scared and like tossed it all over himself. Something tells me though that you could tell me that like post 2020 popcorn spills, like people were probably doing that. Like you could tell me that was a TikTok trend and they were just like, we gotta nip this in the butt right now. We gotta like get rid of this.
Because it was about 2020, 2021 when they cut that film down to remove that bit. And now it's a whole new thing about a couple being different people in different film genres.
Also, I'm glad that we're finally talking about it. That guy looks like John Boyega and Donald Glover if they were put together. And it really bothers me every time I see him.
I'm with you when you're right, and you're right when I'm with you.
It's so unsettling.
I gotta look this guy up.
It's so it's like, because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, it's John Boyega. And I was like, oh, wait, no, it's not. And then I'm like, but he also looks like Childish Gambino. And I was just...
It's a problem.
My favorite movies of 2024.
Yes, please. Say it. Do it.
So I have kind of wrestled with what movies I was going to pick for this.
You're lying.
So I didn't say for all of them. I didn't say for all of them. I ended up picking movies that did come out this year. I thought about like there were some movies like I watched the Planet of the Apes movies on a flight. Unbelievable. All of them are so good. I haven't seen Kingdom yet, but like they were so good. I was Punch Drunk Love. I rewatched. I thought I really dug. But these are my four. Civil War. Sorry, Bon. Absolutely amazing. I haven't felt that way in a theater basically since like Uncut Gems and Dunkirk. Absolutely unbelievable movie. Like I just so good. Second one I saw at the BFI in London on the IMAX screen. It's Furiosa. Really good. We didn't really get to talk about it too much in the pod. I really dug it. I thought there were some scenes I thought are so cool. Some of my favorite like scenes that I can think of this year happened in that movie.
Can you drop
Next,
sorry, real quick. Could you drop a couple of like highlighted moments you liked from Furiosa? Because I did get a chance to see it as well.
dang, okay. So anything on the road, like anything when it's just them driving the big rig, I thought was so good. The scene when they fly, that's all I'll say. I'll leave it at that. Like mouth opened, like I cannot believe what I'm watching right now. I dug all the little just like
Was
world
that
building
practical? Do you
parts.
know? Sorry to keep interrupting.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Just because I remember that was one of the few times when I was like, this is kind of shitty CGI.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's because they were doing like camera panning, because you know how sometimes they'll do like fake camera panning in CGI, which I think is like So I'm not
The climax
sure.
of Deadpool.
Yeah.
Sorry to shit on Deadpool.
Yeah. Yeah, some of that stuff being CGI, like the fine. Anyways, that I really dug. I dug on just all the world building bits and like noticing that like different people that were just like, oh, you were all a part of his like posse in Fury Road, but then you're like doing different stuff here. Like I loved those little like world building parts of it. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was really good. I thought the guy that played, I forget his name now, but like he had a really basic name like Tom, but like the other like road warrior, I thought he was really good. And Hemsworth, anytime Hemsworth was on screen, that is like the best I've ever like. He's not been in a lot of like great movies outside of the MCU, not like necessarily just because of him, but it was really good just to see him like kick ass in a role.
Yeah.
So really, really dug at anything with him on screen. And then lastly, talk about a little movie called Dune Part 2. I actually thought about not putting this on here, to be honest.
Just to troll us?
Not even as a like it's. As I've said, I like the first one more, and this isn't like, oh, Dune Part 2 is bad. This isn't my like. I really dug it. I really enjoyed it, obviously, but like I think I probably liked Civil War more than I liked Dune Part 2. Hell, I might even maybe have liked Challengers more than I liked. Oh, that was the other movie. Challengers was the other movie that I put on here. I think I might have even potentially liked Challengers more than I liked Dune Part 2. And that's not even in a bad way. I loved the movie. I cannot wait for Messiah whenever it comes out. But yeah, unbelievable. I think more franchise movies should be like that, where they hire a director that cares that much about the source material, that's going to make it as like faithful as possible, and you get an unbelievable story because of that. Not like a Borderlands situation. But yeah, those are my top 4 movies. And I guess just talk about Challengers, because I realized I kind of skipped over that. So good. Absolutely loved it. Listened to the soundtrack all the time. Trent Reznor can do no wrong. I'm all here for it.
Amen.
And that's my top 4.
Did you guys see the the animatronic they built to, spoilers for Challengers, to like rip her ACL?
Oh.
There was like a set picture of like Zendaya's legs with like a piece of machinery like where the knee is, to like just all the thing does is just like that's all it does.
That's cool.
That's disgusting. When you watch
it's cool
it,
that like they like
no, it's cool that they did
though.
it.
Yeah.
It's cool that they did it, but when you watch it in the movie, it's just like, ugh. Even now,
The movie's so good.
y'all helped me appreciate it. This platform helped me appreciate it.
But I think that's a part of why this platform exists. That's a part of why we agreed to come together, because we IRL like to watch movies, like to talk about movies. And I think a lot of this did start, Jose, with you and I being like, oh, like, what'd you catch recently? Oh yeah, I didn't really think I'd like want to catch this movie. And then one of us justifying or like really doubling down on why it's worth it. Yeah, and I appreciate you saying like, oh, based off my recommendation, you caught Thelma, you caught Origin. Based off Dilla's recommendation, I caught Wonka. Like, being able to give something a shot based on a trusted friend's recommendation is nice, and hopefully y'all listening at home feel the same way.
Or they recommend Fast and Furious.
Hey.
Now, and see, the thing is, you've not seen it. Like before,
You
until
haven't.
you take the
Really
recommendation.
I've seen them. I've seen them.
Nah.
I haven't seen all of them, but I've
So
seen
you've not
quite a
seen
few.
them. We're
There
not
we
saying
go.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Then
Nope.
you cut this out.
Fast 10 Part 2. Can't wait.
The world isn't ready,
Fast
and
11.
I'll be
We're
there.
getting into Final Fantasy territory here.
They're on like Final Fantasy 19, dude. It's good for a reason.
Yeah, no, but there was like 10 part 2 and like 10 part whatever, and
There was a 10-2.
yeah.
And
Anyways, is this
remakes and things?
the pod?
Yeah.
Let us know what your favorite movies are.
There it is. Amen.
Favorite movies of the year so far. What have you seen? Have any of y'all seen something that we told you to go watch besides Deadpool and Borderlands? Let us know.
And is there something that we need to have seen that we've not mentioned either from a review or having mentioned it from our top 4 here?
People want to know if you've listened to the Beatles. I still have multiple times a month people complain to me about your listening habits.
Are they the same people?
No.
Oh,
No, Vaughn.
Hey, no,
In
Vaughn,
fact,
stick
the
to your
most
guns.
popular band,
Don't do it.
maybe of all time, does have quite a lot of fans.
Don't do it, Vaughn. Don't listen.
I think
Ringo Starr is going to be at the Greek Theater if you want to go see Ringo Starr.
he's one of the.
He's the only one who
drummer.
survived.
That's not true. Paul McCartney's still alive.
No.
Allegedly,
Jesus Christ.
that I do know is that there's a rumor that Paul McCartney,
He's
the one we
really?
have, is a double. Sir Paul
Oh.
McCartney, like there was a Paul McCartney who died, and like apparently like one of the albums was about all the rest of the band dealing with his death and then dealing with this replacement guy, and that's why he like didn't sound as good for a couple songs or something like that. And then now he's like gotten better at like pretending to be this person who died.
Mm. And if you play the album in reverse, it says Paul McCartney died.
I think that might be a part of it too. Yeah, like one of the tracks you run it back. I don't know. The answer that we're waiting for, no, fully no.
Alrighty, is that that's it? Alrighty, folks. Thank you. Like, subscribe, text us, complain to Vaughn about not listening to the Beatles.
Or don't.
Or do. Class dismissed.
Or doesn't matter.